Hello everyone, welcome to free crash course for competitive exams held by Virat Hindustan Sangam in association with Manifest IAS Bengaluru. This program is inspired by Dr. Swamy and it was inaugurated on 28th of January, right? So I'm the chief mentor of your program. I've been mentoring civil services aspirants for past 5 years, right? Okay, so you can watch this program. So first of all, this program is convened by Sri Ravi Shankar sir, State Education Convener for Virat Hindustan Sangam, Karnataka branch, and also President of Good Neighbors India NGO. So you can watch this program on the YouTube channel of Virat Hindustan Sangam and also on the YouTube channel of Udaya News Karnataka. And for free mentoring, you can join our Telegram channel. So we have provided the link. You can ask all your queries, doubts, guidance, everything absolutely free by joining Virat Hindustan Sangam Education Forum. Just type on the Telegram app VHS Education Forum and you can join the Telegram channel. So we are done with polity and history and today we are going to take up economy. So we are starting with economy. And what to expect out of these classes for freshers and veterans. Freshers can use this as a concept clearing class or to get a gist or a hook over what they are supposed to study in order to clear various competitive exams. Whereas veterans can also use this as a concept clearing class as well as a revision course. Everything would be revised. All these things would be revised over a period of 2 months. So it's a very good opportunity. So you can join our Telegram channel for free mentoring. Okay, let us begin the class. So today we are beginning Indian economy, Arthashastra in Kannada. Right? So, what is the source for you to study Indian economy? Whether, suppose you are studying for PSI, FDA, STA, then in Kannada language, there is a book written by Garni Krishnamurti. So that you can refer, but that is available only in Kannada. If you are studying in English, both for state and central public service exams, then this is the source. Economy, Indian economy by Sriram Srirangam. So here is the book. This is the book. Sriram Srirangam, Indian economy. Right? So I am going to teach all the concepts from this basic source. No other source. Single source, simple source. That is why I have written it as simple source. So today, on the day 1, we are going to clear the concepts, major concepts about economy. Economy andre eno. All these things we are going to look into in today's class. Okay. So, economy and economics. So, economy and economics. Economics is the study of economy, right? Economy means what? It is in social activity, it is a social activity based on buying of goods, selling of goods, services, not only goods. There are two things. One is goods, another one is services. Suppose if you take this pen or your mobile phone, it is a good that which can be measured. Suppose something which is not measured. Suppose I am teaching you. Right now I am teaching you. It is a service. It is a service. You ride a auto rickshaw. You ride a auto rickshaw. Then that is also a service rendered to you. They are not giving you any good. You ride on a bus. That is also a service. You use mobile phone, connections of Jio, Airtel, everything. all of them are services. So you should know what is the difference between good and service. Good, something which is solid, which can be measured. Services, it is not solid, but it can be measured as well, but it is not solid. You cannot hold it within your hand. So that is what is meant by services, right? So economy. So the definition of economy is a social activity based on buying, selling, distribution of resources, marketing of resources, production of resources, all these things. In what areas? In the area of goods and services. If the goods and services are sold, bought, transported, produced, distributed, that is what economy means, basically. So what is the difference between economy and economics? Economics means you study this activity, right? So simple thing is, you have a body, human body. So that is biology. That is biology, right? Suppose someone studies the biology, studies the body, then it is medical science, right? That is the difference. Economy and economics. Similar definition, right? Economics as a discipline. Discipline means what? Systematic study. So earlier, economics was not studied in a systematic way. ಒಂದು ನಿರ್ದಿಷ್ಟ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಕಾನಮಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಜೊತೆ, ಪಾಲಿಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಜೊತೆ, ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಜೊತೆ, it used to be intermingled. It used to intermingle with politics, society and other things. Now we are studying economics as a discipline in modern era. So what do you mean by economics andre? The definition is, it is based on a Greek word oikos and nomos. Greek word oikos means what? Family. Oikos means family. Nomos means law. The law of family. The law of family. You would be confused why law of family is called economics. So the basic unit of economy is what? The basic unit of economy. It is a family, right? It is the family which earns money, which saves money, which spends money, all these things. So it also produces goods. The family is the simple source or the basic source. So that is why the law of families is called economics. So it is a Greek word, and it is based on the principle of scarcity. Abhava. In Kannada it is abhava. Scarcity means what? Abhava. So earth has limited resources, right? We have limited resources, minerals, agriculture, forest, animals, whatever it is, petroleum, everything is limited, scarce. There is no infinite resource. So how do you distribute these resources? Limited resources na hege elru distribute ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀವಿ? Then that is the scarcity principle, right? Scarcity principle. So is it equally distributed? Is the resources equally distributed? No. Rich people have concentrated the resources. Poor have very limited resources. If you look at the Oxfam report says top 1% of world's population, own 43% of resources. Out of 800 crore population, 1% is how much? 8 crore. 8 crore population own 43% of the resources. Another estimate, top 8 rich people in the world. Top 8 rich people in the world own more than bottom 50% of the population. Bottom 50% of the poor population. So the resources are scarce, but they are unequally distributed. Unequally distributed. That is why you have Article 39B and 39C in Indian Constitution. It says, 39B says, prevention of concentration of resources. Resources na concentrate agbardu obratrane. That will be inequality. Next says distribution of resources. 39C says distribution. It should not be concentrated. And the other thing says it should be distributed among all. That is a socialist principle. What is socialism? I am going to discuss in the further course. Right? Next we have Kuznets curve. Kuznets curve. What is Kuznets curve? Very important. So they are going to directly ask, what is Kuznets curve? So I spoke about inequality. I spoke about inequality in the scarcity. So Kuznets curve says measures inequality on the, this is what axis? Y axis, X axis, and per capita income. It measures per capita income, right? Inequality. So if they ask, please remember all the curves. All the curves are very, very important. They are going to directly ask questions. Inequality on the y-axis, per capita income on the, so you know what is inequality. Per capita income, I am going to discuss in some time. So per capita income, basic definition is GDP divided by mid-year population. GDP means what? Gross domestic product. So gross domestic product na mid-year population li divide madadre, we have per capita income. GDP or GNP. What is GDP? What is GNP? I am going to discuss. I am going to discuss in some time. Mid-year population, right? So suppose we say the GDP of India is 100 rupees. Suppose, and the mid-year population, mid-year around June, July, the population is 10. So what is the per capita income? Obratra est income barutte? 10. 10 is the per capita income. This is the concept of per capita income, right? Clear? So Kuznets curve shape is reverse parabola. Kuznets curve will be in this form. Please remember, I am going to emphasize again and again, it is a trace between inequality versus per capita income. You are going to get confused because there are many curves. Phillips curve is there. Many curves are there in economy. Kuznets is the first curve. So KUZNETS, right? So Kuznets curve. So it is always like, what does it says? If the per capita income is low, then inequality is low. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಹತ್ರ ಹಣ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಲ್ಸೇಲ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ ದುಡ್ಡು, ಅವಾಗ ಇನ್ಇಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿರುತ್ತೆ? ಎಲ್ಲರ ಹತ್ರನೂ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ, ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಇನ್ಇಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ. ಬಟ್ ಪರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಾ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ರೈಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇನ್ಇಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Inequality becomes high. Some people will have less money, some people will have more money, right? But he says with time, if per capita income increases more, if it increases even more, then inequality again decreases. So illi ಎಲ್ಲರ ಹತ್ರ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಹತ್ರನೂ ದುಡ್ಡು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ. So then inequality is less. So this is the Kuznets concept of Kuznets curve, right? Then economy, the concept, the economy also speaks about trade-offs. Trade-offs. So what is a trade-off? We can study trade-offs at individual, societal, national level, and also industry level. So what is trade-off andre? What is the principle of trade-off? Individual. So you have two options. Suppose you want to eat roti. You want to eat roti and paneer butter masala, and also on the other hand there is at a good hotel, and also at the other hand there is an option of eating chapati at a normal hotel, right? Roti at one big hotel, chapati at normal hotel. So but roti cost 100 rupees, chapati cost 10 rupees. So also you want to buy some books. If you go for roti, you cannot buy books. If you go for chapati, you can buy books. So you will go for chapati. This is trade-off. You gave off the option of roti. You gave roti banana, you went for chapati. You traded it off. Even though you could buy roti, you just traded it off with chapati, right? That is at the individual level. Societal level alli, what is the trade-off? We have, suppose liberty. We have the concept of liberty, right? Liberty andre individual freedom. We have traded off freedom with the government. So is our freedom unlimited? No. If you think that your freedom is unlimited and go and break traffic rules, you would be fined. So you have traded off your freedom with law, right? Law balances your freedom. That is the concept of trade-off at the societal level. Next, national level. National level, what is the trade-off? So for example, India, you have the concept of bullet train is there, right? Bullet train. So India wants to invest, suppose 1,000 crore in bullet train, or 1,000 crore in what? 1,000 crore in PDS, public distribution system, ration angdi. So it is a choice. If you leave the bullet train and invest that in the PDS, then you have traded off this with PDS. This is the national level, right? Opportunity cost. Next comes with the concept of trade-off. There is one concept called opportunity cost. What is opportunity cost? Suppose I have the option of going for a full-time job, which pays me 1 lakh per month, right? Next, I have an option of part-time job, which pays me some 25,000 per month. Okay, so here, if I, instead of full-time job, if I choose part-time job, this is an opportunity, right? I have two opportunities. So if I give off this opportunity and take up this opportunity, so this cost. So this has costed me. Instead of this, I have taken this. This is the opportunity cost. Like, for example, one more example I'll give you. Government has two schemes. Two schemes are there. If government wants to scheme, for example, Ayushman Bharat, health scheme. Next, Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. So government has the opportunity, it is similar to trade-off. Government has the opportunity to either invest in this or this, right? So if it chooses to invest more in Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, then it has lost the opportunity of funding the Ayushman Bharat. So this is the opportunity cost. What is the cost that is paid? We are giving off this opportunity and taking up this opportunity. This is opportunity cost. If I leave off a full-time job and take up a part-time job, I have left the opportunity of full-time job. So it has some cost. What is that cost? It is, I am receiving 75,000 less salary in part-time job, right? So this is what is meant by opportunity cost. You can use this concept of opportunity cost in the society, economy, health, international relations, domestic politics, many things. Even in politics, some people, instead of getting elected as MLAs, they might get elected as national party chiefs, right? National secretary or some other thing. So they left the opportunity of getting selected as a national chief, as an MLA. Instead they chose becoming a national general secretary of a party, right? So this is the concept of opportunity cost. Next, we will move towards macro, micro and mesoeconomics. So what is macroeconomics? Macroeconomics means which includes broad area of the national economy. Macro, which is at a bigger scale. Macro means at a bigger scale. Bigger scale, it discusses the national economy at a bigger scale, on a whole, right? So if we take, we will take Manifest IAS as an institute. If we discuss about the entire Manifest IAS at once, then that is called macroeconomics. If we discuss about individual students in the Manifest IAS, then that is microeconomics. If we discuss about group of students as a section, infrastructure as a section, faculty as a section, material as a section, library as a section, then that is mesoeconomics. So macro is at the higher level, micro at the lower level, meso is somewhere in between. So macroeconomics at the national level, it deals with concepts like monetary policy, fiscal deficit, inflation, budget, all these concepts, balance of payment crisis, bank rate, repo rate, open market operations, all these things I am going to discuss. So if we discusses all these major concepts, then it is macroeconomics. Microeconomics means small individual level, salary, pension, insurance, individual insurance, right? Leisure. If we discuss about these small things, then it is microeconomics. Then what is mesoeconomics? If we discuss specific sectors, what are the sectors? Sectors like infrastructure, education, health, right? Corporate world, social sector. If we discuss about these things as a sector, then it is mesoeconomics, right? What are the relations? All these things, macro, micro and meso, are interrelated. Macro cannot function without micro. Microeconomics cannot function without mesoeconomics. Everything is interlinked. ಅಂದ್ರೆ cobweb ತರ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಜೇಡರ ಬಲೆಯ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಅಂಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. ಯಾವುದು ಒಂದನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ರೈಸ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ರೈಸ್ ನ ಅನುಭವ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, to experience price rise, there should be microeconomics, right? A person should be there. So that is the concept of, so hope the concept of macro, micro and mesoeconomics is clear. Okay, next we will discuss about Adam Smith. Who is Adam Smith? Father of modern economics. Father of modern economics. So He wrote a book, General Theory on Wealth of Nations. His book name is very, very important. Wealth of Nations. So he says, what is this concept? His concept is government should not intervene in economics. I mean in market. He speaks about market economy. What is market economy? Suppose you have a village fair, jatre. Village fair, jatre. Right? So in that, some person will bring cow to sell. Some person will bring milk, ghee or butter. Some person will bring sheep. Right? Sheep. Some other person will bring some other commodity to sell. Right? So, if they act freely without anybody's interest, suppose government comes here, government goes to the village fair, jatre hogi, ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, you have to sell it to this person only, you have to, this price has to be only this much, you have to pay this much tax while selling anta. If the government goes and intervenes, then it is not market economy, it is state economy. State andre no, I have already told, state includes government. State economy. Market economy, government will not intervene. Complete free market economy, cow tandirono, he will sell at the price he wants. Nobody will ask him. Nobody is not responsible to anyone, and he can sell it to anyone he wishes. Right? So idanna this person speaks about market economy. So market economy, this is the concept of market economy. He says there is the invisible hand, and also invisible hand means in the market economy, the prices are determined by a invisible hand, andre stability. So market andre, if there is a market economy, in that market, that has to be stable, right? So if this guy buys this person one buys a cow and he sells a cow, he should also benefit, this person also should benefit. So then there is a stability in the economy. Suppose this person goes into losses, he gets too much profit, then there is no stability. So this stability is maintained by a invisible hand. Invisible hand, kannige kaande iro ಒಂದು ಶಕ್ತಿ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಎಕಾನಮಿನ ನಡೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಆಡಮ್ ಸ್ಮಿತ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. So what is that invisible hand andre? It is self interest of individual. Self interest. So means what? Why would this guy want to sell his cow? Because he has a self interest, swartha. Andre he wants to make some money. Why does this guy wants to sell ghee or butter? Because he wants to make some money. Why does this guy want to buy a cow? He has his self interest. He want to take milk and sell it. So everybody have self interest. You want a mobile phone. Why? You want to communicate with someone. So you have a self interest. You are sitting in the class or watching this video. Why you are watching? Because you have self interest of getting into civil services. This is the concept given by Adam Smith. So this is all about Adam Smith, General Theory of Wealth of Nations. General Theory on Wealth of Nations. Next, political economy. Political economy. So, can economy function without politics? So, economy is monitored by the political entity. It is monitored by the political entity. For example, RBI governor is appointed by government, right? Also, government taxes you. Government taxes you, indirect tax, direct tax, and also income tax, various types of taxes. and government gives MSP to agricultural crops, certain crops. So all these things, and also at the international level, buying of, for example, India buys what? Fossil fuels from Arab countries. So there in the international relations also there is economy involved. International trade, exports and imports are dependent on political economy. These politicians go and sign the free trade agreement. Once they sign, so without politics, economy cannot sustain, or economy cannot sustain without politics. So both are interlinked. This is the concept of political economy. Next, liberal and neoliberal economics. So what do you mean by liberal economy? Liberal economy means that which is completely free. There is no taxation. You can, if you earn 100 rupees, government has no right to ask you anything. So this is the concept of liberal economy. No taxation and absolute freedom is there. So who is the liberal economy spoken about by? Adam Smith. Adam Smith speaks about the concept of liberal economy. But this liberal economy fails during Great Economic Depression. Great Economic Depression. When does it take place? 1929. After First World War, there is a Great Economic Depression. Under this depression, so what happens? Economy gets overheated. Overheated. So what do you mean by overheated economy? Means in this market economy, there is no control, right? So essential goods in this economy, if all the products are similar, and every country has equal resources, means India also has oil resources, sufficient oil resources, and all the resources India wants, right? Then this free hand economy or market economy or liberal economy functions well. Whereas if there is inequality in the form of, for example, scarcity of resources. India is scarce in rare earth minerals. India doesn't have. India doesn't have crude oil, right? And India doesn't have nuclear fuels. Then India depends on somebody else, right? Likewise, those who had essential commodities, which is essential to the public. So what they did in the liberal economy, they got excessive profit. They made excessive profit because their products were selling high. There was a lot of demand for these products. So they increased the prices. So because of which because of this, there is a, when the prices gets increased, there is inflation. Inflation means increase of prices. Inflation. Not everybody could buy the goods. When everybody cannot buy the goods, actually what happens? The demand decreases. Right? When goods ಬೇಡಿಕೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದಾಗ demand reduce ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. When demand gets reduced, what happens? The production decreases. Demand ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದರೆ production ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ goods to. If mobile demand is less, then production will also be less. When production is less, employees will be fired. Employees will be thrown out of employment. So they don't have money. They don't have any money. So when they don't have money, they cannot buy any goods. When they cannot buy any goods, what happens? Again, if they cannot buy any goods, again the demand for goods decreases. When the demand for goods decreases, again production decreases. Again employees are fired. So this is called a vicious circle. Vicious circle. Demand decreases. demand decreases and production decreases, employment decreases, and likewise it repeats and economy goes into a spiral down, depression. So there is loss of employment, there is no employment at all, and there is no food, there is scarcity of everything, right? So this is what is meant by depression. So when depression happens, later came the concept of depression time only. One person comes called John Maynard Keynes. John Maynard Keynes. His name is very, very important as Adam Smith. So what this John Maynard Keynes does? John Maynard Keynes. K-E-Y-N-E. He gives Keynesian economics. So this concept is market economics. His concept is Keynesian economics. He says in a market economy, you should not, government should intervene. So in a earlier market economy, absolute market economy, government was not intervening at all, right? So heuristic bittidrinda, everything went into down and there was depression. So government should intervene and it should spend on social sectors. Social sectors andre food, health, education, all these infrastructure, all these things the government should spend. When the government spends on this infrastructure, so illi suppose government spends on health. Earlier there was no hospital, right? A person used to spend 100 rupees on health per month. So when government builds a hospital, and gives free health care, this 100 rupees is saved for that person, right? So earlier you used to spend 100 rupees on health care to buy medicines or go to doctor. Now 100 rupees is saved. So this 100 rupees he will invest somewhere. He will use it to buy something. Avagenagutte, demand increases, right? When demand increases, production increases. When production increases, employment increases. When employment increases, goods amount of demand for the goods increases. Employment increases. Again, demand for the goods increases. So this is a positive cycle. Positive cycle is established by whom? By government spending. Clear? So this is neoliberal. So this is Keynesian economics. Keynesian economics. But due to this Keynesian economics, there is lot of government intervention. Government intervenes too much. Andre, you illi spend mada. I said, told government will spend. Spend mada duddelinda barutte. They will tax the people. It will tax the people. It will regulate the sectors. So Keynesian economy, write down one more word. It is also called pump priming. Pump priming. P-U-M-P-P-R-I-M-I-N-G. What is pump priming? See, earlier there was depression. There was no money. So you pump the money. You pump the money in the economy. Who pumps the money? Government pumps the money and it establishes a positive cycle. So similarly, when government starts intervening in the social sector, if it intervenes too much, too much in socialist economy, communist economy, government will set the prices. There is no private property. Every property is owned by the government. Government will collect taxes. Government will say you have to produce only this and you have to produce only this much only. So, ee tara restrictions aakdaga, there is no scope. So, ee riti restrictions if the government does, what happens? individual effort is thwarted. See, suppose I am good at manufacturing mobile phones individually. So if the government says you have to, so I have the capacity of manufacturing how much? 1,000 mobile phones per month. But government comes and say you have to manufacture only 100 mobile phones. Would I feel bad or not? I would feel bad and I would not invest money in manufacturing mobile phones. So, ee tara adaga, again, there is no investment in the economy. When there is no investment in the economy, because of government restrictions, there is no investment in the economy. And there is no investment in the economy and there is no private sector. Manufacturing of mobile phone at my individual capacity is a private sector. Private sector is controlled. When the private sector is controlled, there is no growth of economy. There is no proper growth of economy. Again, there is a chances of recession or depression, right? Because people are not interested to invest. So there is no production, less employment, less demand for goods, and again unemployment, right? So both of these are dangerous, right? Liberalism, too much liberalism is also dangerous, too much socialism also dangerous. So to resolve this, we brought the concept of neoliberalism. So it mixes the concepts of both liberalism and socialism and says it is called the concept of mixed economy. Mixed economy. It has the concepts of capitalist economy as well as socialist economy. Both the concepts are there, right? That is called mixed economy. Who is the person? Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman. M-I-L-T-O-N F-R-I-E-D-M-A-N. Milton Friedman is the person. Next, also we have Margaret Thatcher, British Prime Minister. Margaret Thatcher. And also recent Donald Trump. Donald Trump also supports neoliberal economy. Neoliberal economy, right? Okay. So concept of neoliberalism is clear. It is a concept of mixed economy, right? Okay. Next. Okay. Keynesian economics. So in the Keynesian economics, I already told what are the concepts. So, under Keynesian economics, government intervenes. Government intervenes and it also spends money. It spends money. Also, on the other hand, it imposes lot of restrictions. It also imposes lot of restrictions. So even the role of banks are also important. The role of banks are also important. Banks also set the rates. See, here government invests money in the economy, social structure and everything. What does the bank do? Bank decreases the interest rate. Decreases the interest rate. When interest rate is decreased, what happens? What is interest rate? So, if the bank gives you 100 rupees, it charges some. Now, what is the rate? It is around 4% by RBI. So, it charges some interest, some 2 rupees or 3 rupees. If interest rate is decreased, the demand for money is more, right? The money gets into the economy and there is lot of spending of money, lot of spending. When the spending is carried out, what happens? When you spend, where do you spend? You spend on food, you spend on clothes, you spend on goods. There is automatically demand. That is how the positive spiral. Positive spiral. There is an increase in demand, increase in production, increase in employment, and also a positive cycle spiral starts. That is how you get the economy out of depression, right? Next we have socialist economy and communist economics. So the simple definition, so this is a concept which most of the students find very difficult. Communist economics means private property is completely owned by the government. Private property is completely owned. Now suppose this building is owned by a private person, not by the government. But in communist economy, all the properties are owned by the government, owned by the state. Okay. So where do we find the examples of communist economy? Earlier, Soviet Russia, USSR, during the time of Lenin and Stalin, there was communism. And also during Maoist China, during 1950s and 1960s, we find the example of communist economy. Whereas India is a democratic socialism country. Socialist economy. Socialist economy means this is government doesn't own, private property is there, and also government intervention is also there. It is not the entire thing is not owned by the government. Only few sectors like infrastructure sector, railway sector, banking sector, right, and health sector. Some sectors are owned by the economy, owned by the government, and also at the same time private sector is also there. Right? In social economy, there comes a concept of means and modes of production. So in communist economy, both the means and modes. So what is means? Labor, land and capital. Hana, ಕೆಲಸಗಾರರು ಮತ್ತೆ land, ಭೂಮಿ ಮೂರನ್ನು government own ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Right? In communist economy, that is means of production. Modes of production means whether it is private primary sector, secondary sector, industrial sector, service sector, all those things, those are modes of production. Right? In the socialist economy, both the private sector is also there and also public sector is also there. This is a concept of mixed economy. Nehruvian economics. Nehruvian economics is also called as Fabian socialism. Nehruvian economics is called Fabian socialism. So here we have the concept of state ownership. State ownership of what? State ownership of modes of production. Certain things, not everything. Certain things are owned by the government. Certain things like your infrastructure, railways, right? All these things, and dams are owned by the government, right? And also atomic energy plants are owned by the government, and many other things. What else is owned by the government? Roads are owned by the government, right? So like this, certain things. So if we have to focus on Nehruvian economics, we have to go before 1991. Before 1991, liberalization, privatization and globalization, most of the things, including telephone was owned by the government, banks were owned by the government. There was no concept of private sector. Rather, private sector was very limited. The concept of ownership of state used to be the owner of majority of the things. There was very less private sector. Now the private, still now we are a socialist economy, but we practice market socialism. It is a kind of democratic socialism. So what does India follow, Andre? We follow democratic socialism. Under democratic socialism, there is both private sector and public sector. Both the things are there, right? This is also called as market socialism, right? Okay, now we are moving towards more and more neoliberalism, capitalism, because we are encouraging private capital. Next, Gandhian economics. So Gandhian economics speaks about local areas, local emphasis, that is village level, cottage industries, gudi gaigarike ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಗಾಂಧೀಜಿ ಅವರು. Village should be self sufficient. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವಿಲೇಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನ್ ಬೇಕು, everything should be available in that particular village only. So it is dependent on local emphasis. Local emphasis also spoken in your directive principles of state policy, article 40. Article 40 speaks about local emphasis, that is Gandhian economics. Cottage industries or also your self-help groups, everything has and also your Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Grameen Sashaktikarana Yojana, right? National Rural Livelihood Mission, National Rural Livelihood Mission. So what does it speaks about? Local employment, local employment. So even Manrega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, that also has a local emphasis. That is, villages should be self-sufficient. And also Gandhiji speaks about the concept of Sarvodaya. Sarvodaya means what? Welfare of all. Welfare of all. Welfare of all. Whether it is poor, rich, everybody should progress. Everybody should progress. And also Gandhiji in his economic model speaks of trusteeship. He speaks about trusteeship. What is trusteeship? So there are poor and there are rich, right? Rich should be the trustees of wealth. Suppose rich are earning 1,000 rupees, poor 10 rupees. So he should be acting as a trustee. So trustee means what? Your societies, cooperative societies will have trustees, organizations, right? Registered organization, many parties and civil society, many things have trustees, which means they manage the fund on behalf of the public and they utilize this fund. They utilize this fund for the welfare of society. They utilize this fund for welfare of society. So this is trusteeship, was given by Gandhi, Gandhian economics. Next, he also speaks about bread labor. What is bread labor? Everybody should earn his own bread. Every person should be our kaal mel avare nintkobeku. Bread labor. He should earn his own income. Everybody should have some bread labor. That is minimum wage. Minimum wage. What do you mean by minimum wage? Which is sufficient for his basic needs. What are the basic needs? Food, shelter and clothing. So that is the minimum wage, the concept of minimum wage. There is also a concept of living wage. Living wage. What is living wage, Andre? It is minimum wage plus education, health. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ನ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ ಏನೇನ್ ಬೇಕೋ ಅದನ್ನ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ವೇಜ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ವೇಜ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಲೆಸ್ ದೆನ್ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ವೇಜ್, ರೈಟ್? ಓಕೆ. So he speaks about bread labor. Hope the concept of bread labor. Everybody should have a minimum wage. Everybody should work and earn his own money. Earn his own money, and for that there should be availability of employment. So government should see to it that there should be employment. Your Manrega is based on this, right? So where does Gandhiji gets influenced from? So Nehru gets influenced from Soviet Russia, international communist conference ಅಂತ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ, international communist conference, and also by Nehru visits this Soviet Russia. He visits the Soviet Russia, USSR, and sees the model there. What is the economic model that is implemented there? He sees that and gets inspired. He gets inspired, right? And he tries to implement it in India. Next, Gandhian economics. What does Gandhian economics? Where does he gets influence from? John Ruskin's Unto the Lost. John Ruskin's Unto the Lost and the book in the Gandhiji gets influenced, and also by Leo Tolstoy. Leo Tolstoy concepts in the he gets influenced, right? Okay. Next, we have development economics. What is development economics? Which focuses on the welfare of all. Development, economic development, health development, educational development. So that economics which focuses on the all-round development of the society, individual and nation, that is the concept of development economics. Okay, so this concept speaks of rise of per capita income. I already spoke what is per capita income. Okay, so this was given by whom? So it was given by Amartya Sen. Amartya Sen speaks about development economics, right? Next, state capitalism. State capitalism or Beijing consensus. So opposite to Beijing consensus, we have Washington consensus. What is Washington consensus? That is, it gives rise to two institutions, Bretton Woods institutions, IMF and World Bank, International Monetary Fund and World Bank. We are going to discuss it later. So this is Washington consensus. So Washington consensus adre basically understand it is related to capitalism or market economy or neoliberalism. It is related to those things, neoliberalism, capitalism or market economy. That is Washington consensus. Whereas Beijing consensus, it is the opposite of Washington consensus. So what is Beijing consensus andre? It is, so earlier during Mao time, Mao Zedong, right? So Mao, what does he do? He imposes communist economy, but later Deng Xiaoping comes and he transfers it into capitalism. He takes China towards capitalism some in the year 1982, I believe. Okay, so here what happens earlier, from communist economy, that when the state owns everything, from that Deng Xiaoping changes it to state capitalism. State capitalism is a different form of mixed economy. So the Indian mixed economy, we have the mix of public sector plus private sector. Private sector also invests, public sector also invests money, right? In state capitalism, it is the majorly the state also state encourages the people to invest, and also initially when Chinese people did not have money, it was the state, it was the government which invested lot of money in the building of infrastructure. If you look at the map of China, the entire eastern region, that is towards the South China Sea, entire stretch is industrialized. How did it get industrialized? It was the Chinese government which invested, and it also encouraged the private sector to invest lot of money, and This is the concept of Beijing consensus. That is, the Beijing is the capital of China. So it encourages the private sector to invest money in the market, right? And also we have mercantilism. So mercantilism, yesterday I spoke about in the history class. So what is mercantilism andre? Mercantilism is derived from the word merchants. Merchants means what? Traders, those who trade. So these merchants, they are what? They are experts in exports and imports. This mercantilist economy relies on exports. Lot of exports from the country, and by exporting lot of things, it receives lot of money. By exporting lot of that is the concept with respect to Make in India. So under Make in India, we export a lot of goods. We make the products here and we export. So we can say that is a concept of mercantilism. Mercantilism focuses on more and more exports. More and more exports, more and more forex come to our country. Forex means what? Foreign exchange, right? So if we suppose India grows mangoes, if we export lot of mangoes to Europe and USA, they pay us in dollars, euro and pounds, right? All of them, all that money we save in our banks, Reserve Bank. Reserve Bank holds the forex. What is the present forex number? It is reaching around $700 billion. So when we export more and more goods, we get lot of foreign exchange. So when we have more foreign exchange, it is good for the economy. How it is good? Because it promotes stability. Stability of the economy, right? How stability? If India has $700 billion of forex, suppose, and the fact is India doesn't have crude oil, India doesn't have petroleum. So if during the 1991, when there was no forex, India could not import petrol. When petrol is not imported, all the domestic people, public will protest, right? When we have more forex, we can import whatever we want. We can import whatever we want, and also we can lend this and earn interest. We can lend this to people by other countries and earn interest. So that is the concept of mercantilism. It relies on exports, and also it relies on gold. It relies on gold. Andre, earlier times, these merchants used to concentrate lot of gold. They used to export lot of things and gather lot of gold. That is why India was called as a sink of precious metals. Why India was called a sink of precious metals? Because India used to export lot of things, and all the gold in the world used to come and sink in India. One example I will give, how India was a wealthy country. Very general example. See, you look at the gods of India and you look at the gods of Western countries. That may be Arab countries or also European countries. So those gods do not have, they have simple clothes, one shawl or something. Whereas Indian gods have lot of ornaments, jewels, golds, right? Because that shows India was the wealthiest country. Even our gods projected the wealth we had. That is, the India had 25% of the world's economy. I spoke about it in history, right? Next, mercantilism also today. So gold. But today gold is a scarce element. There is no sufficient gold. So since gold is scarce, we are focusing on forex, foreign exchange, right? Next, trade wars. Trade wars. What is trade war? So USA and China are today involved in trade war. So what happens? China wants to export lot of goods and earn forex, right? But USA says it is competition. China is competing with USA, right? So here, when a country has more forex, its political power increases. More forex, more economy, more political power. So USA is irritated because China stands as a challenge to USA. So it has raised the concept of trade war. How did this trade war manifest? So this China exports goods to USA. USA increases the taxes on Chinese goods. It increases the taxes on Chinese goods. So Chinese goods become costly. So, and in the US, the demand falls for Chinese goods and people get attracted to USA goods, right? Similarly, USA in the trade war bans certain Chinese products. Bans. For example, India has banned Chinese applications, right? And also we have banned Chinese Huawei 5G equipment. Even USA has banned Chinese Huawei equipment. Huawei, Huawei 5G equipment. So that is also a concept of trade war. And also trade war not only within the bilateral concept, but it is also a multilateral concept. Multilateral means United Nations, World Trade Organization, World Bank, IMF, all these organizations who hold more authority, there also trade war gets manifested. Trade war gets manifested. Not only there, we have Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. One belt, one road. What is one belt, one road? So, suppose this is China. From here, there is sea. Sea route is there. Sea route. So, this is India. Sea route goes like this. And also, land route goes like this. Okay. This land route is called maritime belt. Sorry, belt road. Belt road. Land belt. It is called land belt. Belt road. Belt and, sorry, it is just called the belt. Economic belt. Right. This sea route is called road. So, don't confuse road as something on land. Road is maritime road. That is on the ocean. So, belt is on the land. So, here in this, China aims to build infrastructure. Infrastructure China aims to build. Digital infrastructure, trade infrastructure, right? And also physical infrastructure like roads, railways, oil pipelines, everything. By this, China wants to connect to entire Europe, Asia and Africa. So this is the, so here also China is investing lot of money in other countries. This is also opposed by USA. This is the concept of trade wars and it is can be seen as a modern form of mercantilism, right? Behavioral economics. So this was given by Economic Survey 2019. This concept was given by Richard Thaler. Very important. He got a Nobel Prize for Economics in 2017. Richard Thaler. He got Nobel Prize for Economics in 2017. Right? What is behavioral economics? See, under behavioral economics, what happens? See, it is simple. Suppose you buy a mobile phone on Flipkart, right? If they market directly market, if they market 900 rupees MRP, one option, if they mark 900 rupees as MRP. Another option, they mark 1000 rupees MRP and give 10% discount. Would you be attracted by this or this? We would obviously be attracted by this because it is human nature. human nature. This is the concept of behavioral economics. Based on human behavior, how the humans spend, how do they spend, what do they demand, what goods they demand, what services they demand, based on which they demand, how those demand can be tweaked, how that demand can be impacted. Everything is spoken under behavioral economics. It was given in Economic Survey 2019, and it speaks of nudges. Nudges. So what do you mean by nudges? Andre, this 10% discount is the nudge. And also this behavioral economics is also utilized under Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, it is used. Digital India Mission, it is used. Jan Dhan Yojana, it is used. And also Ujjwala Yojana, it is used. So and we will speak about Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Earlier, there was no toilets, right? Very one second. So earlier, there was very less toilets, right? So to build a toilet, if the government asks you to build toilet, would the people build toilet? No. If the government says, you build toilet, we will give 50,000 rupees subsidy, then obviously people will build toilets, right? This is the nudge. Nudge means to push the people to do good things. So this is the concept of the behavioral economics. Similar in your Jan Dhan Yojana. Jan Dhan Yojana, if you enroll in the bank account, you get 1 lakh rupees free accident insurance. So it is a nudge. It will encourage people to get enrolled in Jan Dhan Yojana, right? So that is the concept. Next, we have green economics. So what is green economics, Andre? So because of all this, because of the growth, earlier we used to just measure growth in the term of industry or GDP and in these terms, right? Whereas this concept of green economics says that if we just measure the growth in the terms of industrial production or GDP or goods and services, it will impact the environment. Impact the environment in the terms of pollution, greenhouse gases, global warming, all these things. So what does green economics says? So it is given by, one of the concept is given by Thomas Malthusian theory on population. He says resources are limited, right? Resources on earth are limited. We have limited resources, alva. So, but population is increasing. When the population increases, there is increased demand on the resources. There is a increased demand on the resources. So it will lead to lot of problems. That is tried to get addressed in the green economics. And also there is a report called Limits of Growth. Limits of Growth anta one report barutte in 1968. 1968 this report comes, and also there is Brundtland Commission report. Brundtland Commission report. This comes in 1987. It also says that growth, that the GDP based growth which we are pursuing is bad. We have to pursue green economics. That is said by Brundtland Commission. So the name itself is self-explanatory. Limits of growth andre the growth which we are pursuing as its own limitations, right? It is not sustainable. What do you mean by sustainable? Long term. It cannot be taken for long, right? For example, your crude oil. Crude oil we use like anything. We ride the vehicle. Every person has 3-4 bikes, 2-3 cars. So they ride it like they want, like they wish. So that type of growth, buying more and more things, right? Consumption based economy, that has its limitation because we have limited resources. Brundtland Commission also speaks about the same thing. It gives its report in 1987. Next, indices. There are a lot of indices. Like we have emission gap report, we have human development index, we have genuine progress index. All these things we are going to discuss in the further course, right? Next, economic growth and its measure. Economic growth and its measure. How economy growth is measured? We are producing some things, right? Some products we are producing. So I am giving this service of teaching. Similarly, a farmer is producing crops, right? And also a petrol pump guy is giving service by filling your vehicle tanks. So likewise, entire India is producing lot of things. So how do we measure this? Should we measure this? Yes, we should measure this. So here economic growth means what? Wealth creation. Wealth creation. So I teach, I get remuneration, wealth is created, right? You get into the job, wealth is created, right? Some farmer grows some crops, wealth is created, right? And also research person does some research and development, wealth is created because of that research. For example, Covishield and Covaxin, research was done and wealth is created. How wealth gets created? That company, Bharat Biotech, got lot of money, right, by selling the vaccines. So that is the concept of wealth creation. So here we have two concepts of wealth creation. When wealth is created, it leads to positive spiral. Positive spiral, wealth gets created. When wealth gets created, it gets invested. Investment in the economy. When investment in the economy, more demand in the economy. When more demand, more production in the economy. More production, more employment, more wealth creation. Positive spiral. Negative spiral enandre, because of this environment gets destructed. Environment gets destructed. There is pollution. There is exploitation of resources. Too much resources we are mining, which in turn spoils the environment, nature, which in turn impacts our health. When it impacts our health, we cannot go and work. When we cannot go and work, there is less production. When there is less production, there is less employment. Less employment, and from less employment, again less demand. So there is a negative spiral as well, right? So we will speak about business cycles. In economy, this concept is very, very important. Slow business cycles. So every economy works in cycles. It works in cycle. No economy works linearly. No economy works linearly. Yavaglu economy onde tara iralla. If you see the stock exchange, if you see, you will see the graphs like this, right? This shows how the economy is, various companies are functioning, right? Slow down. Slow down means a company is producing some products. Some products a company is producing, right? So once that demand for that product reduces, demand for that product reduces. For example, earlier there used to be landlines, right? Before we will take the example of Nokia itself. So earlier Nokia phone was there. It was a normal phone, CDMA phone. But once smartphone came, Android phone, the demand for Nokia decreased. When it decreased, the Nokia industry slowed down. Nokia industry slowed down because there is less demand. Likewise, during COVID, many sectors slowed down. Tourism sector slowed down. Tourism slowed down. Industry slowed down. Transport slowed down during COVID. This is the concept of slowdown. Recession means what? Recession means when this slow, see here when we speak about economy, we speak in quarters. So every year has 4 quarters. So the first quarter begins in from April to June. So year has how many months? 12 months. It is divided into 4 quarters. So the first quarter starts from April to June. This is the beginning of what? Financial year. Financial year. All the banks will close the accounts on March 31st. Next quarter begins from July to September, right? Likewise, this is the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. So if the economic slowdown is continuous for 2 quarters, this here also the economy slowed down, here also economy slowed down, means then it is called recession. We call it as recession. 2 quarters of slowdown is called recession. What is Great Recession? Great Recession is also called double dip recession. Double dip recession. See, whenever there is recession, I told you government will invest money. Pump priming. So during COVID also, government gave very less interest, money at very less interest, repo rate 4%. So when pump priming is done, and also government invested lot of money through your Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? Through Atmanirbhar Bharat, much money was invested in the government. So here, what happens? Even when the government invests, if the economy doesn't recover, even after government intervening, if the economy doesn't recover, then that is called double dip recession or Great Recession. So here we have this, for example, for this is 2008 financial crisis in where? USA 2008 there is a financial crisis. Alli enu anta I'll tell you later. What is this financial crisis? Not very important. Andre from exam perspective, but knowing it is important. Okay, next, depression. When this, even after so many things, nothing works out, and the recession goes on continuing in intensity. Andre, more and more people lose employment. More government cannot do anything. Prices gets high. Currency falls. Banks go bankrupt. Right? Industries lose money. Then that condition is called monsoon also fails. Right? No agricultural production. That condition is called depression. The only example is 1929 Great Economic Depression. Right? Next. This is the concept of business cycles. So, next we have the concept of measuring economic growth. See, economic growth is there. Economy is growing. You will read in newspaper that economy is growing at 4%. Economy is growing at 10%. Right? So, how do we measure it? how that growth is measured. So here we measure it through various things called GDP, GNP, right? National income, so many other things. So this concept, measuring of economic growth, was given by Simon Kuznets. I spoke about him in the Kuznets curve, right? Kuznets curve I spoke, right? He gave the measurement initially. Initially, who gave the measurement of economic growth? By Simon Kuznets. Who measures the economic growth in India? Andre, the organization is Central Statistics Office. Central Statistics Office, right? It is under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Who is the minister? Is it Sadanand Gowda? So check out whether Sadanand Gowda is the Minister for Statistics and Program Implementation. So it is given by Central Statistics Office. All growth, employment, inflation, industrial measure, everything is given by this organization. Central. Now it is started. Now it is changed as National Statistics Office. Okay. So GDP, GNP. So this concept we have to know. GDP. So GDP andre no, gross domestic product. So what do you mean by GDP? Suppose this is one country, right? This is one country. And this is the boundary of this country. Let us name this country X. Whatever the production that happens within the boundary of this country, production of goods, production of services that happens within the boundary of this country is called, the total value of all the goods and all the services that are produced is called GDP, right? Whether it is industrial goods, services, banks, trade, tourism, education, health, right? So many things. Everything is called GDP. Whatever production that takes place, that is called GDP. What is GNP? Gross National Product. Gross National Product, right? Gross National Product andre. So it includes all the, suppose this is a country. So GDP is a geographical faculty. Geography ಒಳಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದು GDP. Clear? So GNP andre, it is a citizenship concept. Citizenship. Suppose this is India. Whatever the Indians produce, that is counted in GNP, national citizen. Suppose I am an Indian, I am in London, I produce something, even that gets counted under GNP. I need not produce within India, I can go into London and produce, but I am an Indian citizen. I am producing that product, that is why it gets counted as GNP. GNP, whatever the citizens produce. GDP, whatever is produced within the boundary of the country. Clear? Okay. Illi, there are two things. One is, we will take the example of Germany. Suppose, see, illi, India dalli some, let's say, some Americans are there, right? This is, let's say, this is England, illi some Indians are there, right? So under GNP, GDP, whatever even the Americans produce within the boundary is counted. But in GNP, num citizens madad matra we count. America donu nammal band produce madare now count madalla under GNP. Whereas now America dal produce madare, because I am a citizen, that gets counted. Clear? Okay. So BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, I told, right? Under Belt and Road Initiative, what happens? China, let's say this is China. This country is China. So it has connectivity with various countries, right? So is China's GNP higher than GDP or GDP higher than GNP? GNP. Why? Because of this connectivity, it is Chinese nationals. Chinese nationals are producing here in other countries as well. So China's GNP is higher than GDP. Coming to closed economy. So before 1991, India was a closed economy. So there was no much imports, not much exports, very limited. So then our GDP was higher. Our GDP was higher because not much Indians went outside, not much money came into India, right? Even today, India's GDP is higher than GNP. Even today, GDP is higher because we receive lot of foreign funds. That funds come into the boundary of India, alva. It is utilized within the boundary of India. That is why India's GDP is higher. So you may say there are so many Indians who are producing so many things outside India. So GNP should be higher. But if you calculate, subtract and add, if you subtract that whatever the Indians produce outside the country and add the foreign investment, FDI, actually FDI is higher. That is why India's GDP is more than GNP. Ireland and India's GDP is higher. Ireland ಏನಂದ್ರೆ GNP is higher. Why GNP is higher means all not exports. Actually, all these companies, Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, all these countries' headquarters are in Ireland. Why? Because there is zero tax. So, but there within the boundary of Ireland, there is no production. Only the headquarters is there. So, when since there is no production within the boundary, only the headquarters is there. Their GDP is less. There is no much production. However, GNP is higher. Because these countries, companies, the company that is Apple are earning lot of profit. So since their mother country is Ireland, so their GNP has to be high. Clear? So this is the concept. Next, better measure. Which is the better measure? Whether it is GDP or GNP. So actually it is GDP, it is the GNP which is the better measure. Gross national product is the better measure than GDP, right? Okay. Why? Because it is a nationalist concept. Because whatever the foreign investment, I told, foreign investment is high in India. It comes to India and produces lot of things. But those foreign companies will take the profit and go back. They will not invest more in India. Those profits are not available to us. Whereas Indians go and produce somewhere else, that profit comes back to India, right? So GNP is a better measure than GDP. Clear? Okay. Next, share in economy, sectors. So how many sectors we have? Primary, tertiary and quaternary. So primary sector involves agriculture, fisheries, mining. So this is basically the fishery, forest, minerals and all those things, minerals and quarry. All these things are primary sector. So primary sector contribution to India's economy is 18%. Okay. So under this, agriculture contribution is 15%. That is this sector, 15%. Okay. So next we'll talk about the secondary sector. Secondary sector alli we have industry. Industry is there. All your tourism, all your manufacture, electricity production, petroleum production, all those things comes under secondary sector. And also construction. Construction also comes under secondary sector. Secondary sector contribution to Indian economy is 27%. 27%. Right? Next, we have tertiary sector. Tertiary sector we have first tourism, trade, education, hotels, right? Education, health, everything comes under tertiary sector, right? Not only that, even your real estate and other services comes under this. Not only this, also government services also comes under tertiary. Tertiary sector contribution to Indian economy is 54%. 54%. Right? So, this is the sectors. Apart from this, there is one more sector, quaternary sector, but mostly it is included in the tertiary sector only. What is quaternary sector andre? It is actually your research and development, R&D irbodu, intellectual property, scientific research, intellectual property. So, Covishield is manufactured, they file IPR that no other person should manufacture it. So, that is quaternary sector, research and development, scientific innovations, and also buddhiga related yavyavide adella quaternary. Buddhiga related, something related to knowledge. Clear? Okay. Next, we'll talk about gross value added. So, simple agi, I will tell you what is gross value added. Gross means everything. Value added, right? So, we will take this book. So, illi, who are all involved? First is the person who designs the book, the person who manufactures the pages, the person who prints the pages, the person who types the pages, the person who gives the content, the person who designs the book. So many people are involved, right? All of them are giving their value. They are contributing their value. If we include all these values, then this book comes. Then it is called gross value added. Clear? So, gross value added, I just told you about one book. If we take the entire Indian economy na full tagondre, what is the gross value added? So, the simple definition is GDP minus indirect taxes. GDP minus indirect taxes is the gross value added. So, why sir? Why taxes is removed? Because tax is not value addition. Iga, this book, let us take the example of this book. This book cost, let's say, 75 rupees. 75 rupees because out of 75 rupees, 10 rupees goes to the page manufacturer, 5 rupees to the printer, 20 rupees to the content maker, designer, everybody, right? That everything comes under 75 rupees. 25 rupees is what? Tax. So, illi value addition is happening. Tax al en aagta the value addition. There is no value addition. It is just the tax which goes to government. So, this is the value addition. This is taken as gross value added. That is, I gave the example of book. If we take the GDP per se, it is GDP is 100%. 100 rupees minus 25 rupees indirect taxes we remove, we will get 75 rupees. That is the gross value added. Clear? Okay. Estimating GDP. GDP, I am shouting from that time, GDP, GDP, GDP. How do we estimate it? So there are three methods. There are three methods. So the first method is output method. Output method. Whatever the goods that are manufactured, goods and services that are output from the industry, right? So I am teaching here, the teaching is the output I am giving you, right? Suppose some bulb manufacture industry is there, the bulb is the output, right? So whatever the goods and services that are output is called the output method, first method. Next method, expenditure method. See, when you put some output, in turn what you get? You get money. I am giving the teaching output, I get income, right? Somebody manufactures bulb, he gets what? Money. So that is the income method. Income method, whatever the from the output, whatever the income we are getting, that is income method. So you output na calculate madidru onde value barabeku, input na calculate madidru same value should come, because whatever you output, same income you are getting. If you output 100 rupees of value, you will get 100 rupees of income, right? This is the. Similarly, expenditure andre, you get 100 rupees, you spend it. You spend it on food, clothing, rent and all those things. So that is the expenditure method. That should be equal to income. So all these three values should be equal. Whatever the output you give should be equal to the income you get. Whatever the income you get should be equal to the expenditure. You savings madru, that is also an expenditure, because that is you are saving. You are giving it to bank, right? So everything should be equal, right? Okay, this is the methods of estimating GDP, but in reality, all of these three are equal, not equal, because there will be some discrepancies. Some allili mix up agirutte. Next, we have marketed goods. So, what are the marketed? First, we will talk about final goods. See, we will take the example of this mobile phone. This is a final good. Final agi ನನ್ನ ಕೈಲಿ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂತ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್. ಈ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ there are various semiconductor chips, displays, batteries, wires, ports, various things, software, hardware, various things. So all those things come together to become this good. So this is the final good, whereas the transistors, the chips, the semiconductor chips, the software, all of them are called intermediate goods, right? So only the final good is counted. Only the final good is counted in GDP. Madhyadhar, for example, you car na buy, if you buy a car, tires, the batteries, the steering wheel, the seats, all of them are intermediate goods. They come together to form a final car. So GDP counts only the final car, not the intermediate goods. Why? If they count the intermediate good and also the final good, double counting agutte. Illu count madirtira, it will lead to increased value. That is wrong, right? That is final good. Next, newly produced goods. GDP only counts the newly produced goods. So what do you mean by newly produced goods? So I bought this book from Flipkart or some bookstore. This is a new book. Only new goods are counted under GDP. If I bought this at 100 rupees, I give this to at 50 rupees. If I sell it second time, it is not counted. Secondary car, second-hand mobile, all these things are not counted in the GDP. Only newly produced goods are counted in the GDP, right? Okay. Next, we will talk about marketed goods. Marketed goods. So, what is marketed goods, Andre? For example, a mother takes care of a child or takes care of her home. Is it counted under GDP? No, because she is not selling it. She is not selling it. Suppose I am teaching you. So this is a economic transaction because of which I am getting paid. So it is a marketed good. Marketed good. Suppose I teach freely. Suppose I teach freely to my brother. My brother I teach freely. That is not marketed, right? So even the social service, NGOs, those are not marketing the goods. They are doing it for free. So GDP counts only the marketed goods, right? Okay. Next, we will talk about transfer payments. Transfer payments. So what do you mean by transfer payment? So government gives money to people, right? Old age pension they give, right? And also this pregnant women, they get money. So those kind of payments which are given by government without any services being done, because old age people, they get 500 rupees or 1000 rupees under Indira Gandhi National Old Age Pension Scheme, right? And pregnant women get money under Janani Suraksha Yojana, Matru Vandana Yojana. So there they are not giving any service, simply they are getting money. That money is called transfer payment. That money is called as transfer payment. Clear? So it is a method of income redistribution. What is income redistribution, Andre? The rich are having money. Rich people are having money. So that money gets redistributed among the poor, right? Redistributed among the poor, that is income redistribution. Is transfer payment same as subsidies? No, because subsidy is given on a product. Subsidy is given on a product, right? You manufacture a mobile phone, government gives subsidy. Suppose you have electric car, electric two-wheelers, they are getting subsidy by the government. So subsidies are given on products because there is a real product. Fertilizer subsidy for farm agriculture, a fertilizer seed subsidy, electricity subsidy, water subsidy, all these things are given to based on some real product. So it is based on some real product, whereas transfer payment is not based on any product. This is the difference between transfer payment and subsidies. Clear? Okay. Conditional versus unconditional. Conditional. I told pregnant women are getting money. Only if they are pregnant they will get money. So the condition here is pregnancy is the condition. Old age people, only when they are senior citizens they will get the pension, not otherwise, right? Whereas there are unconditional transfers also. So there is a concept of universal basic income. Universal basic income. Universal basic income andre, instead of giving PDS subsidy, Manrega subsidy, electricity subsidy, gas subsidy to people, and also health subsidy, education subsidy, what government does, wholesale ಆಗಿ ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ದುಡ್ಡು ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. 1,000 ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ತಿಂಗಳು. ನೀವು ದುಡ್ಡು ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ ಮುಖೇಶ್ ಅಂಬಾನಿಗೂ ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ, ನಿಮ್ಗೂ ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ. ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಲ್ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ಕಂಡೀಷನಲ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್, ಅದೊಂದು ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ, ರೈಟ್? ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ಕಂಡೀಷನಲ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್. So you are producing a product. What are the factors of this production? Using what you are going to produce a product? So you are going to produce a product. You require land. You require land, right? You require land. You require labor. You require labor. You require capital. Capital is required. Money is required. Without all these three things, an enterprise cannot be established. And enterprise is also a product factor. Idella iddunu, somebody should start an enterprise, a business, without which all these three things will not be useful. Land, labor and capital, very, very important, though very simple, is the factors of production. Land, you know what is land? Labor means physical employment, ಕೆಲಸಗಾರರು. Capital, ಬಂಡವಾಳ. Investment, it may be investment, it may be machinery. Suppose we have this smart board we have, that is an capital, that is an investment made by the institute, right? So this mic I am speaking, that is a capital investment, right? So what I am doing is labor. This whole premises is land. Clear? Okay. So and the enterprise is this organization. This organization is the enterprise. Manifest IAS is the enterprise, right? We have primary versus secondary factors. So these three things, land, labor and capital, are primary factors. Land, labor and capital are primary factors, whereas secondary factors andre, it is related to some technical expertise ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು, or some innovations, that is secondary factor. Clear? So market price and factor cost. So if you look around, if you go to some shops, there they will say factory price sale, right? Factory outlet. Have you heard of this term? Factory price sale. So they mean to say they are selling the product at factor cost. Factor cost andre what? See, suppose this is the industry. And this is the gate of this industry. It is some boundary is there for that industry. Here is a gate. Here some security person is there, right? So whatever the production that takes place within the industry, while getting out of the gate, what is the price that is given to that product? While getting out of the gate is called as factor cost, right? If to this factor cost you add indirect taxes, taxes are added. Taxes are added and subsidies are deducted. Subsidies are deducted, then it becomes the market price. So that is why iPhone, if you buy at a factory, you cannot buy iPhone at factory. If you buy a cloth at factory, it is lesser than market price, because in the market price, indirect taxes are added and subsidies are subtracted. Indirect taxes addition is clear. I know you guys wouldn't understand why subsidies are subtracted, because once this product comes out of the factory gate, government adds taxes, right? But similarly, government gives subsidies. Government gives subsidies, right? So, for example, electric car, it comes out of the gate. So, the price is, let's say, 1000 rupees. 1000 rupees. Government adds 100 rupees tax. 100 rupees tax. So, that is why I am adding the indirect tax. Government subtracts. Government gives 50% subsidy, 50 rupees subsidy. So, the effective price of the car is 1050 rupees with, right, 100 rupees tax, 50 rupees subsidy. So, subsidy I am subtracting. Clear? So, that is why the formula for market price is factor price plus indirect taxes minus subsidies. The formula is very, very important. So, next, the concept of GDP and NDP. We know about GDP and GNP. Now, what is this NDP? See, NDP means, G means what? Gross. Gross means total. Total, right? NDP means net. So, how do you differentiate, Andre? See, when I bought this mobile phone, it was 15,000 rupees. So, does the price of the mobile phone remain same even now? No. The mobile phone is depreciated every year. Even for that matter, the building, they build this building at the price, let's say, starting the price of this building is 1 crore. 1 crore. Every year, 1% is depreciated because the building gets old. Similarly, all the products get old. So, depreciation. If you remove depreciation, GDP if you remove the depreciation, then you are going to get NDP. As simple as that. Next, real and nominal GDP. Real and nominal GDP. Okay. So, real GDP is, so first you should understand the nominal GDP. To understand that, you should know the concept of inflation, right? See, suppose I am selling 10 apples at 10 rupees, right? The cost of one apple is 1 rupee, right? So, next year, I will sell the same 10 apples at 15 rupees. So, the cost of one apple is 1.5. So, if we just look at these numbers, earlier apples were coming at, forget the number of apples, just look at the prices. Earlier, for apples you are giving 10 rupees, now you are giving 50 rupees. Does it mean 15 rupees ge 15 apples barta ide anta arthana? No. The same apple price has increased. The numbers are not increased, right? Similarly, GDP ge, if you add the inflation, all the products, I just gave example of apple. You add all the products of India, goods and services. So if you add the inflation, then that is nominal GDP. GDP measured with inflation is called nominal GDP. But GDP, if you measure without inflation, if you deduct the inflation, then it is real GDP. Simple? Clear? Okay. So we have the concept of GDP deflator. What is GDP deflator? Andre? See, here we have nominal GDP. Nominal GDP is higher than real GDP because it is high price. Real GDP plus something, plus some value is nominal GDP. This value is called the deflator. If you what value you are going to add to real GDP, that is called nominal GDP, or nominal GDP in the simple mathematics. Put this, it will become negative, right? Nominal GDP in the, if you remove the deflator, then it will become real GDP. Clear? So this is the concept of real and nominal GDP, and also GDP deflator. GDP deflator means GDP has flated, inflated like a balloon. You deflate the balloon. So then it will become real. Clear? Okay. Next, national income formula. National income formula. See, till now I spoke about GDP, GNP, NDP. You know all these concepts. Now there is one more concept called NNP. NNP. Simple. ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ತಲೆಗೆಡ್ಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. GDP ಲಿ ಡಿಪ್ರಿಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ನ ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ NDP. GNP ಲಿ ಡಿಪ್ರಿಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ನ ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ NNP. Clear? As simple as that. So national income anta everybody says. What is national income? Andre, there is a formula. The formula is national income is equal to net national product. Net national product, right, minus indirect taxes national income. National income is equal to net national product minus indirect taxes plus subsidies. So this is the formula for national. How do you remember this, Andre? There is one more formula I told you. Market cost is equal to factor cost plus indirect taxes minus subsidies. So illi indirect tax plus idre illi minus ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, subsidy illi minus idre illi plus ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. So national income means net national product. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಳೆದ ಮೇಲೆ ಏನು ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ real. I told GNP is the real measure. So even that GNP you remove the depreciation, you will get the actual national product, out of which you take the taxes. I told you taxes in the eno bele illa. Taxes doesn't add any value. You remove the taxes, but you add the subsidies. The government is spending out of the pocket. So here you would have subtracted, you add the subsidies, then you get national income. Simple. Next, the concept of base year. So every GDP, GNP, everything is measured with respect to one base year. So earlier the base year used to be 2004-2005. Now the base year is 2011-12. So we measure the GDP with respect to this year. What is this base year? See, when we calculate the GDP, there is a base year. Base year alli, for example, let us say one pen drive. What was the cost of the pen drive during 2011-2012, right? 2011 and 2012. And what is the cost of the pen drive during 2022? So the cost of the pen drive in 2022 is called current prices. Current. Whereas the cost of the pen drive in the base year alli ade pen drive est cost ittu, that is called constant prices. Clear? Okay. So market value of output. So this is, so both of these speak about market value of output. Andre pen drive is a output by an industry. What is that market value? What is the market value of that output? Is it measured at current price or is it measured at constant price? Okay, current price is the right measure. Okay. Next, seasonality. So what is meant by seasonality andre? You are comparing, see, I told you year has 4 quarters. April to June, July to September, October, November, December, January to March. When you are comparing the current year with constant base year, you have to compare the exact quarters, not the entire year. This is with respect to agricultural products. So ಈಗ January March ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ January to March ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈರುಳ್ಳಿ ಬೆಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಿದ್ದೋಗಿದೆ, right? ಅದೇ you take the price in October, December, it will be high, or even in August, whatever, right? So seasonality, it based on the season. Agricultural products prices are based on the seasons, various seasons. Clear? So when you compare this year with the base year, you have to compare the exact months and matra. If you are comparing August to June in 2022, you have to compare with August to June of 2011-12, not with June to September, July to September. Exact ಇವಾಗ ಏನು months na ನೀವು compare ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, same months you have to compare them. Clear? Okay. Next, potential GDP, positive and negative. So what is potential GDP andre? See, today India's real GDP is around 140 crore. India's real GDP in 2018-19 was 140 crore. Okay. But is it the capacity of India? Doesn't India have more capacity? We can produce so many things. So, for 140 lakh crore is India's GDP. So, idralli, even under this, there are lot of unemployment, lot of health issues to the public, right? And lot of sectors are not supported by the government, right? And also lot of prices are, so lot of products of prices are, some products are less, and there are structural deficiencies. Andre agricultural products, there is no proper storage, ಕೊಳ್ತೋಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ತರಕಾರಿ ಎಲ್ಲ if there is no storage. So if you remove all these problems, this will definitely become some bigger number. 140 crore GDP will become some 300 crore if we remove all our problems. So that is called the potential GDP. If we remove all the problems, what we are going to get is called the potential GDP. Clear? Okay. Idu positive adru agirbodu. It may be positive or it may be negative also. When it is negative andre, when all the problems are removed, proper GDP 140 crore, what we have, if the potential GDP is less, andre an economy, Indian economy maximum 100 ಕೋಟಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, 200 ಕೋಟಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, 140 ಕೋಟಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, 130 ಕೋಟಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗೋದು. Indian economy can manufacture only 130 crores with all the problems removed. But we are manufacturing 140 lakh crore. So we are doing excess. Economy is overheated. People are overworking. So then the potential GDP is negative. Clear? Okay. Next, per capita income, I already told, it is either GDP or GNP divided by mid-year population. Mid-year population means June or July population alli, if you divide the GDP or GNP, that is 140 lakh crore divided by what is India's population? 130 crore. Okay, 130 crore. So the per crore gets cancelled. 130, 140, if you approximately eliminate, the approximate per capita income is how much? 1 lakh rupees. 1 lakh rupees per year. Per year. Okay. GDP limitations. Coverage. What are the negatives of GDP? What are the negatives of GDP? GDP doesn't cover everything. Domestic workers, mane kelsa madoru, they are not covered. Maneli free care economy given by ladies, mothers who give free care economy, that is not covered. Informal economy is not covered. Informal economy means domestic workers, mane kelsak baro, that and all are not covered. Right? So many sectors are not covered under GDP. So it is not a proper measure. And also quality. Quality is not proper, right? So GDP just measures quantity. Even environment cost is not covered. Environment, that is not covered. So there are lot of limitations. GDP just talks about numbers. We want more numbers, more GDP and the, but our numbers idrunu, no. Let's say we have 140 crore, 140 lakh crore GDP, but unemployment estimated. So there are lot of things. Even the quantitatively we are good, quality is not good. Even if we are 140 lakh crore, there are crimes, there are rape crimes. So there are lot of issues, lot of poverty is there, illiteracy is there, so many things are there. So quantitative measure is not right, qualitatively we are not good. Economic cost is not included. Environment cost is not included. So many things are not included in the GDP. Pollution is not included. Leisure is not included. If you take leisure, it is say it is a loss of GDP. GDP, leisure tagondre, it says it's bad, it is bad. So many things are not included and that is the limitation. Okay. Okay, 1 second. So today we will finish this national income statistics in India and wind up. Okay. So national income statistics. So statistics means numbers, data. India dalli who gives the national income statistics in India? It is CSO, now rebranded as NSO, Central Statistics Office under Ministry of Statistics and program implementation, right? So it gives quarterly. GDP na every quarter kodutte. Yaru? CSO. And also it gives GVA, gross value added. I told you what is GVA. That is given. And this entire thing, GDP, GNP, industrial output, inflation, whatever is there, everything is called National Accounting System. This system is called National Accounting System. Clear? And it also specific who changes the base year andre it is CSO base year. So after Narendra Modi ji government came in 2014, in 2015 they changed the base year to 2011, 2012. Why base year is changed? Why base year changed? This concept is important. See, earlier the base year was 2004, 2005. There not 2004, 5 artificial intelligence itta, biotechnology itta. Not many things, not many products were not there. So when it comes to 2015, all of these things are there. So to include those things in the GDP, we have changed it to change the base year. To include the new products. The new products now, if we have to include in the economy, we are changing the base year. Next, it also gives advanced estimate. Advanced estimate andre January it will give ee varshadu what is the GDP. ಎಷ್ಟು GDP we are going to produce. It gives advanced estimate. It also gives quick estimate. End of the financial year, March 31st ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಂಗೆ, it will give one more estimate called quick estimate. Quick estimate ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. Next, after that it gives provisional estimate. It is andre advanced estimate without knowing anything it gives. Prediction. Quick estimate is better than advanced estimate. Provisional estimate is better than quick estimate because it has lot of data. Final estimate is the best estimate which is given later on. So these are the estimates given by CSO, very, very important. Advanced estimate, quick estimate, provisional estimate and final estimate. Clear? Okay. So tomorrow we'll continue with the National Infrastructure Framework for National Statistics, new institutional framework for national statistics. Thank you for your patience in hearing the class. I hope you found the economy class very interesting because economic concepts are very interesting. So please make good use of it. Please take care of your health. Jai Hind. Namaste.